In 1921, President Warren Harding decided to try something new, something that had never been tried before in the history of the world, an arms limitation treaty. This was done in general because of the world's economic woes resulting from World War I and the U.S.'s desire to return to an isolationist policy. It wasn't that the world was tired of war, more like they were tired of how expensive it was. Harding and Congress wanted to spare the Treasury by avoiding another arms race which was clearly brewing. It was part of his plan for a return to, and I quote, normalcy. Specifically, with the Central Powers of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire destroyed, the next major hotspot was considered to be China. The conference consisted mostly of three parts. The Four-Power Treaty, which dealt with the four signatories, the U.S., the British Empire, France, and Japan, agreeing to maintain the status quo in China and the Pacific. The Nine-Power Treaty, in which the 9 signatories agreed to the openness of their ports in China to each other. And the Five-Power Treaty, which reduced the size of the navies of the 5 signatories: the U.S., the British Empire, Japan, France, and Italy. I'm going to ignore the 9 and 4-power treaties and focus on the 5-power treaty because it's the one that's really relevant here. Again, I want to make clear that nobody went into this treaty because they believed the war to end all wars had been fought. It was purely for economic reasons. The U.S. was tired of the cost of being involved in global affairs, and Congress was looking hard to cut defense spending. Japan was on the move, but realistically couldn't afford and didn't have the industrial capacity to start an arms race with the British Empire and the U.S., let alone the British Empire and the U.S. An arms treaty gave them a way to honorably cut spending without losing face. The British Empire, Italy, and France were facing financial disaster as a result of World War I. In some cases, their cities were in ruin, and they owed huge sums to creditors. Basically, everyone was broke, but was still hunting for the best deal. Let's look at some high points of the treaty. For simplicity's sake, I'll refer to battleships and battlecruisers simply as battleships. Article 2 says the U.S. may complete 2 of the West Virginia-class battleships under construction, but on completion must scrap its 2 oldest battleships, and that the British may build 2 new battleships, but must decommission its 4 oldest battleships. Article 3 says that, other than notice exceptions, all battleships under constructions or in existence must be scrapped. Article 4 gives a total battleship tonnage maximum for each country. Article 5 limits each battleship to a maximum of 35,000 tons standard displacement. Article 6 says no battleship can mount a gun larger than 16 inches. Article 7 gives a total aircraft carrier maximum tonnage for each country. Article 8 basically says that any aircraft carrier already built or under construction on November 12, 1921 can be replaced at any time as long as the replacement doesn't cause that country to exceed its total tonnage limit. Article 9 sets the maximum displacement for an aircraft carrier at 27,000 tons each, except that each country may convert 2 existing ships, either built or under construction, to carriers as long as their weight doesn't exceed 33,000 tons and that their construction doesn't cause that country to exceed its total tonnage limit. It also says these conversions can mount up to 8 guns larger than 6 inches. Article 10 says that no carrier shall carry a gun larger than 8 inches. Effectively, between these 2 articles, it's saying that the 2 conversions in each country can carry up to 8 guns between 6 and 8 inches. It then goes on to say that if a carrier has no guns over 6 inches, it has no limit on the number of guns. Either way, there is no limit on the number of anti-aircraft guns up to 5 inches that may be carried. Article 11 says that no signature will build or buy a warship over 10,000 tons other than a battleship or carrier for itself or anyone else. Article 12 says no ship except battleships built from here on will have guns larger than 8 inches. Article 13 says no ship that is supposed to be scrapped may be reconverted to a warship. Article 14 basically says merchant ships can't be fitted in peacetime with guns and can't be prepared to carry guns larger than 6 inches. Article 18 says each power can't give away any warship to a third party in a way that it can be used as a warship. Article 20 says by name which battleships can be kept by each country. Part 3 deals with replacement. It states that a battleship or carrier can be replaced by a treaty-compliant ship 20 years after commissioning. It says that the new ship can't be started until the ship it's meant to replace is 17 years old. It goes on to say that a ship lost in an accident may be replaced by a new ship right away. It also says that no battleship or carrier can be reconstructed except for adding up to 3,000 tons of bulges, blisters, and anti-aircraft deck armor. Article 23 says that the treaty shall remain in force until December 31st, 1936. If none of the parties have said by 2 years before that date, aka December 31st, 1934, that they intend to withdraw from the treaty, it will remain in effect until 2 years after someone announces they intend to withdraw from it. It is of course interesting to note that despite the generally accepted wisdom that nobody at the time considered aircraft carriers to be a formidable weapon, this treaty dealt heavily with them. And of course that submarines are not limited by this treaty at all.